one is this?
This one's a Laker one.
This is up off bottom ways.
And it's big bait, right?
I think so. Yeah.
You got the line going?
I don't know.
Yeah, line's going.
Really?
Yeah. Line is going.
It's zipping, but that's not.
Oh, it is zipping. That's not a perch, Bubs. Alright, I'm gonna go.
It stopped.
Should I get the gas?
No.
We got 8-inch hole. We don't need no fancy
Why
gas.
did it stop? Nuts. It just went crazy. It went nuts. It
Oh,
went,
yeah.
It was fast. Whoa.
That's not a perch.
Oh my gosh. Okay, it stopped. Shape.
I think you've got them hooked at this point.
I don't.
You don't, if I ain't gonna, and you can cry. Fish on?
I don't know, unless it's going this way.
Is it a perch?
I don't know, but I don't feel it. It could be coming this way though.
I could have done a big circle. It looked like it was. Don't put it on.
I gotta watch this sharp snow. I don't feel anything. No, maybe I do.
What is it?
Ooh.
Took a
Okay.
quarter mile.
It's going.
First fish on the tip up of the year.
Okay.
Lake George has been a little bit of a pain in the neck to us.
Whoa. That's a nice fish. I think, but I always say that.
But
Okay.
today,
Okay.
is it a pike or a laker
I
or
don't know.
a salmon?
It's
Can you
some
tell?
Jerk. Jerkiness, but I
It's a
feel.
big jerk.
Okay, how do we watch all these sharp ladies? Which way is the wind going?
The wind's blowing right.
Okay, it's going. Oh, okay.
So our philosophy with tip-ups is never force a fish to do anything he doesn't want to do. So we just exhaust them, basically.
Sometimes exhaust us too.
Bring
But I
them
love
in,
that.
let them out. Bring them in, let them out. And the pain in the neck is keeping the line managed.
Okay, help.
Oh wow, that's a good fish.
No. Line. I need line. I don't want to.
That's
I don't
pretty
wanna
much, we're
fight
back
him.
to where we
Okay.
started.
Okay.
That's not a perch.
No.
The middle of the day, we were dinking around with a couple slow perch in the shanty.
Oh wow. Okay. Whoa.
Then our
That's not a. Whoa.
3D jig pole went up. And then this one went up while we were out. Which is exciting. Well, there is weeds here.
Okay.
I'm not to stress you, but there's probably a chain to that buoy over there. But
I thought of that. Okay, don't land on me. Let me doing stuff. I can't do anything. Okay.
would you say it's huge?
I would say so, but I've said that before. And it wasn't, but I have some drama.
Oh, battery
Is it not working?
or something. All right, we're gonna
Oh, help! Pay attention.
we're gonna shut this down for a minute. See you back in a minute.
I don't know how to do this.
Okay, you got Bubbles,
I don't know how to do this.
and you got Laker.
Oh shoot.
Oh, he's normal size.
Sure he's fat.
Okay. All right. You can work it.
No,
Okay,
I
he's
don't know
twisted.
how. I don't know
He's
how.
twisted.
I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do this.
That's right.
It's fat. It's a fat one.
It
I
is a
can't do
fatty.
this. I
Look
can't.
at that
Help!
beauty. Look at that beauty right there.
Okay.
Nice job.
Oh,
What do you say?
I'm exhausted.
Nice work.
That was about the longest battle I've ever had on a tip-up. I'm shaking like a leaf. My hands got cold. My fingers stopped working.
All right, let's get him back in the water.
Okay.
All right.
Epic battle. Here you go, buddy.
All right, let's get our frozen fingers warmed up.
Woo!
Hey guys, that's Melanie catching lake trout on Lake George. Lake George has not been the best ice this year, but we got out there. We've got some perch too. But I want to talk about how we fish lake trout. They're fun to catch for sure. They're good to eat, but only a couple a year. We mostly catch and release them. But they're really fun to bring kids out there. Somebody new that hasn't been catching a big fish. They're just a good time. but there's a learning curve for them, and I want to go over some of the tricks of how we catch them on a tip up. We've also, most of the time I don't even set tip ups for Lakers. You can catch them on a jig pole fairly well. You can actually check out some of our videos of using a Vexar to catch lake trout on a jig pole. But often, if you want to get the really big ones, they're more likely to bite on a tip up, or just the fun of having a flag and fighting it in by hand. It's neat to do it that way. But there's a whole bunch of ways you could go out there and set your tip ups and not get a lake trout all winter. So I want to go over some of the tricks. First off, probably the workhorse of all tip ups is these 40 up tip ups. They're tough. They don't freeze up in the water because that's an oil filled tube. They got a big enough spool. We put about 200 yards or 200 feet of Drycon heavy line for fighting the fish. They can hold that full spool. Then I switch over to a swivel, and on Lake George, and this is probably the biggest tip right now, this is 8-pound test fluorocarbon leader, about 15 feet long. I've seen it over and over. I used to keep short leaders because in other ponds or lakes where the water was more stained, 5-6 feet was all you needed. But there was days I'd set out my 5-6 foot long leaders in Lake George, and my buddy would have his tip ups with 15-foot leaders next to me. He'd get flags all day, and I get nothing, which always makes me mad. So switch over. The clarity in Lake George, the water clarity is so clear, and these fish have seen, I mean, there's a lot of guys fishing what ice there is right now, and they've seen line. They know some of the telltale things. They spot that stuff from a mile away, and they won't take the bait. So 15 feet of fluorocarbon leader. Fluorocarbon, you can use monofilament, but fluorocarbon has the same density as water, and it really disappears. Then we have a single split shot about 16 inches away. If you're using a lighter line and you don't want to get the weakness of crimping that split shot on, you can actually put a tungsten bead on with 2 rubber stops to hold it there. And if I'm salmon fishing with 4-pound test line, I'll often do that, because as soon as you put that clip split shot on, you don't have 4-pound test line anymore. You got about 2-pound test line. And then the hook, smaller's better. That's what we catch our Lakers with. That's a size 12 treble hook. And I should have shown you, I usually hook the minnow just behind. If this is the length of the minnow, it's got that dorsal fin like a shark. I usually hook the minnow just in front of that dorsal fin. But on a Lakers, or especially on bigger minnows, I pull it a little bit closer to behind the head, because usually they turn the fish and take it in head first, and you have a better chance of a hook set that way. The smaller hooks tend to get you more fish than the bigger ones. And if you have whatever hook you use, I'd love to see that in the comment line too for what you use for lake trout. The problem with the smaller hook is you can get a gut hook on the lake trout sometimes with that. In which case, those are biodegradable inside the fish. We just cut the line and give the fish the hook. As far as baits to use, I usually try to step up something bigger than what the perch would eat. Lake George is full of perch, and if you have small bait on, you can end up playing with perch all day on your tip ups, which is usually just inefficient. So hunts are good. Suckers are great, big suckers. Sometimes they'll pick those over anything else. Icicles, which look a lot like a smelt, also work pretty well. They're harder to keep alive. Suckers, you can use those. We've used the same sucker 4 times. Taking him out, giving him a ride, and caught a fish or 2 on him, put him back in the bucket. You just can't even kill them. So we put that live bait on. Usually when I go to a hole, I put a sounder on, that big heavy weight, drop the bottom, figure out how deep it is. Usually between 30 and 75 feet is a good spot for lake trout. And then if I have 5 tip-ups out, I usually put 2 of them 10 feet off bottom, 2 of them at just about halfway, wherever halfway is, and 1 of them just underneath the ice. If you got 2 or 3 buddies out there, everybody does that. As soon as you get a flag or 2, everybody notice what height off bottom that was. Sometimes I will draw a big number in the snow next to the tip-up, saying, hey, this is the depth. So I remember when I catch a fish on it, this was the 10-foot off bottom one. It's amazing how often they're cruising just underneath the ice. They're chasing after smelt, and smelt are just underneath the ice. I've drilled holes And just as soon as I cleared the ice, I've seen smelts shoot by right there. And the Lakers, the salmon, everybody's running there. Once you've got them located, off bottom, whatever distance that is, set a few more, readjust your tip up so that you're set to optimize on that. Once you get a flag, there's nothing like it. Once you see that thing fly up, I recommend screaming and shrieking, getting excited. Usually we don't touch, you'll see the line running out. I don't like to touch it when it's ripping like that because you can actually pop the hook out kind of quicker. I let it run for probably a minute or two. Usually once I've seen it slow down, that most of the time means you've made some sort of an arc. Pick up the line, get some tension. Once you feel fish there, don't just horse on that thing like you're setting on a herd of buffaloes. Just give it a tug, because you don't want to break the line, you don't want to snap the hook too quickly on the fish. Give it a tug, and then you'll see what Melanie did in that video was pretty much textbook. You keep pressure on that fish. Keep pulling him in when he wants to come in. When he wants to run out, you let it out. It really helps to have somebody help managing the tip up. Keeping the extra line out of the ice chunks. Don't be stepping on it and everything else. We usually wrap it up, hold it like you saw in that video. And often a lake trout, especially in shallower in the 30-foot range, will come to the hole, spook, and run maybe 3 times before it gets tired enough to ease it out of the hole. If you're keeping the lake trout, you can certainly gaff them at the hole and pull them through, and that works. You got to make sure it's got to be 23 inches. You got to make sure it's a legal fish before you stick the gaff in it. But we've found now that as long as that fish is tired, there's some drama to it, but you get him toward the hole and ease him up in that direction. You may have to help the little bit of a breech burst with the hand there to help him come out, or it can just actually pop right out of the hole. And then scream, carry on, fall on the ice, and have fun. Repeat process. We're obsessed with ice fishing here at Rogers Rigs. Check out the channel. You'll see we have a lot more information about fishing for perch and fishing for lake trout and fishing all year round, crappies. And check out our website, rogersrigs.com. All the lures that we use, the hooks that we use, the stuff that we have in our tackle box is only what's on that website. Thank you very much for watching, and good luck out there.